What's up, guys? How you doing? I'm Cyrus. This is Video Game Virus. Today, got a few different topics I wanted to talk about, and if you happen to be in the chat, welcome. How you doing, Vinny? What's up, Retro Bro? My bro, Retro Bro. Feel free to introduce yourself. We can talk about pretty much whatever in the chat. Just don't be a jerk. Pretty simple rules. If you want to join the voice chat, it is on my Discord. There's a link in on the screen. You can figure out how to get there. There's a link on my channel, and you're welcome to come and join me for the voice chat if you would like, but you don't have to. And if not, I will just continue to yak. What's up? Yeah, how's everybody doing? What's going on? It is Thursday night. Oh man, I'm a little bit later tonight than what I have been. I want to try to do these at different times just to give different people an opportunity that might not otherwise be able to participate if they're interested in doing so. So we got to talk about the RGB blaster situation. It's something that I've done multiple videos about, and I've been talking and running my mouth quite a bit about this. Oh, what a nightmare. Yeah, the fast forward to the end of the story, it doesn't work. I can't get it to work, and I have requested the warranty. So either they're gonna repair it and replace it, or I'm gonna get a refund, or both. I don't, or neither. Something, I don't know. I may have to mail it to the Ukraine, which I'm not looking forward to trying to figure that out. But it doesn't work, so it's fine. I have come to terms with the idea that I will just be using composite on my twin Famicom. It looks fine. It's fine. It's not a big deal. You just want to try to get the best picture you can. What is a big deal is probably the picture that comes out of my Intellivision and my Atari 7800. I've got those sitting over here. Both of those are composite only. I really want to try to get those modded. I want to try to find somebody that can help me mod those, preferably with S-Video. That would be perfect, because then that CRT will work with that, and then I can also capture that, and it'll look really nice. I can still capture from them using a conversion that converts like RF into composite, but it's just not that great. So that's my next aspiration, is to try to figure out how to get those modded. So hopefully I'll figure that out. But as far as RGB from the Famicom, it's a no-go. I think I may have upset some people earlier today. I was pretty harsh on Crix, and I called out I called out Crix, and I called out Bob from Retro RGB, who both told me this thing would work. But I completely understand. I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. I completely understand that there's a lot of different variations of PPUs out there. That's the picture processing units. And I get it. Like, they don't know 100%. This is a weird new thing that Crix is doing, and it's had a lot of problems. And apparently those problems have been all over the place. There's all kinds of issues, from obviously mine. I think this thing was actually just screwed up from the beginning, because I mean, the damn USB port broke off. I mean, that's not good. So I take that as a sign that this thing was screwed from day one, and it came from the Ukraine. So I started to think, I wonder if, because it came from the Ukraine, if like it got like X-rayed a bunch of times or something, because it did take a month to get here. So I wonder if something in that process degraded the quality of this thing. I don't know. Tricom says poor soldering. Yes, that's probably true. 1-inch biceps, how you doing, man? Blast him, RGB blast him. No, we're not promoting RGB blaster probably ever. But that's not to say that Crix doesn't make good stuff. I mean, obviously I've had EverDrives that he's made for many years. I continue to use the Turbo EverDrive and the NES EverDrive. I've got a EverDrive sitting in my Genesis right here. I mean, Yeah, I mean, he makes good stuff. It's just in this particular case, no way, no. No way, no. So anyway, yeah, I tried everything I could think of. I bought a SCART cable and tried that with a SCART adapter to HDMI. That didn't work. I tried replacing the AC adapter for my console. Somebody told me that if I used the Genesis Model 1 AC adapter that it would work if I did that. I'm guessing because it needed more voltage. So unfortunately, I have a twin Famicom and it uses a different AC adapter standard than the regular Famicom, so I couldn't use what they suggested, which was the Genesis Model 1 AC adapter. But I did have a box full of different AC adapters, and none of them worked. None of them fixed the problem. So it is what it is. It just does not work. So anyway, that's enough of me complaining about it. I want to talk to you about some things going on. So BCB and Luke both were talking on their channels about this partnership that Atari has entered into with Playmager to create Polymega console modules. So let's read. This is from MSN. This is Destructoid. That's where this is linked from, I guess. But I got it straight off of Microsoft's webpage. So let's just read a little bit about this. Have you played Polymega today? No, I have not. Is Polymega out? Has it actually been released? This thing has been going on for years. I mean, the Polymega was one of those consoles that had all the controversy and all the stuff. I mean, if you remember in the beginning, the Polymega was supposed to have this new kind of technology, this magical technology. What did they call it? Hybrid emulation? Nobody even knows what that is. But that apparently they don't even know what that is because they decided not to do it and just implemented regular emulation. The hybrid stuff they decided to put in the cars. The emulation stuff they left in the console. So it is what it is. So no such thing as hybrid emulation apparently, but it is called, the company is called Playmager, and Magi is like magic. So it would have been magical to have this magic form of emulation. Unfortunately, that did not happen. So instead, they have this console, which is super freaking expensive, with all these different modules, which are also expensive. And it's a strange getup. It's a strange setup for playing retro games. I mean, I like the idea of using regular, like real controllers and using your real cartridges and your real CDs and stuff. But the way they do things here is a little strange. Brian says a few early adopters got them, but most people are still waiting for Polymegas. Is it Polymegas? Is that the plural form of Polymega? Or I've always wondered, is it like Polymegas or is it Polymega? Like it, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the plural. We'll go with Polymegas because I like the way that sounds. Atari has announced a new partnership with Playmager Incorporated, the creators of the Polymega console platform. The strategy of this partnership is to create hardware and software integration between the Polymega and the Atari VCS. According to the press release, quote, the Atari VCS will add support for the Polymega app and the Polymega Remix add-on. This will effectively provide all of the functionality of a Polymega console to Atari VCS owners. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. So it's twofold here, this partnership. It's going this way and it's going that way, right? Am I understanding that correctly? Like, they're going to add Polymega functionality to the VCS and they're going to add VCS functionality to the Polymega? Is that what I'm getting from this? Polymegi. It's pronounced Polymegi, sir. I'll have you know. Everyone knows this. As someone heavily invested in retro games, it surprises me that I haven't heard of the Polymega. Yes, it does. And the fact that you're writing an article about it, having not been aware of this thing until you wrote this article, is ridiculous. Why do they have people do that? Why do they have people write articles about things they have no freaking clue about? they have no history with, they haven't been following, and just now it's time to write an article because something's happening. So here you go, write about this thing you've never heard of. Which, how the hell have you never heard of the Polymega if you're into retro gaming? I find that suspicious, sir. That's I don't know. I find that very difficult to believe. Anyway, as someone heavily invested in retro games, it surprises me that I haven't heard of the Polymega. It's a modular console that supports all manner of retro consoles. All manner. Wow. All of them. How many retro consoles does it support? All of them. Sir, how many retro consoles do you want us to support? Everyone! Tricom says, at this point, I'm tempted to crowdfund my own console. There's so much gouging, canceling, and messing about. Yeah, it's, you know, the clone console market, if that's what you want to call it, I don't know, is really weird these days. You know, we've been through a lot. We've been through a lot. It feels like we've been through like a war, like a long, unending, like Cold War, like, and there's been all kinds of things happen and craziness, and we got involved, and we wish we hadn't. We've got post, what is it called, the post-traumatic stress syndrome, and we got guys over here in the hospital, and they got mental problems, and you know, it's a bad scene. It's a bad scene, this situation. It was Polymega who took shots at Analog on social media, wasn't it? You know what? I don't remember. I wasn't always the best at paying attention to that sort of thing, but I'm not going to say, if I don't know, I'm not going to say, but it's plausible. One in Spaceships, the professional. James says, I almost bought into Polymega. Glad I went with Mr. instead. Oh my God, the Mr. I wish I had a Mr. I keep thinking maybe I should do that, but I haven't pulled the trigger on that yet. But at some point, I probably will end up getting a Mr. I know that everyone that I've talked to that has a Mr. or has thought about getting a Mr. has had nothing but good things to say about it. I've heard great things about the Mr. So, yeah. By the way, if you guys notice any technical problems with the show, if the feed starts to mess up, if it starts to buffer or does crazy things or skips a bunch of frames or something weird happens, please let me know. I'm not really able to see that kind of stuff easily, so if you can help me out with that, I'd appreciate it. Okay, back to what we're talking about. The base unit has disc support for the PS1, Sega Saturn, Sega CD, TurboGrafx CD, and Neo Geo CD. That's pretty impressive, actually, the base unit part of that. However, there are modules that allow you to play cartridge games for Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo, NES, Sega Genesis, and TurboGrafx 16. The system uses top-tier emulation. It's interesting they put that in quotes, which is a pretty broad term. Yeah, the 90% compatibility gives me pause. 90% compatibility? I mean, I know 90 sounds like a high number, but for emulation, I don't know if it's that high a number. It should be higher than 90%, I would think. Maybe I'm assuming something, and maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but it would seem to me like we should be a little bit higher than 90% if we're talking about emulation. I mean, emulators are very well developed at this point. So I don't know, maybe, I don't know. But this writer says a 90% compatibility gives me pause. But on the plus side, you can sideload fan-made patches that give you HD graphics or translations. That's a good point, the translation thing. The HD graphics, I don't know so much how that works. That is interesting. I've never heard that. But the translation thing, yeah, that's a pretty good thing. I know a lot of people talk about the Retron 5 and those consoles, one of the big benefits is being able to use translations and stuff like that when you're playing games. So I know people definitely would like that. It might not be for someone like me who owns most of these consoles, but for the retro gamer who just wants a consolidated and flexible platform, I can see the appeal. It's interesting this writer has all these retro consoles and knows all the stuff about retro consoles, but had never heard of the Polymega. I find that difficult to understand. James says, Polymega's site says their Turbo PCE controller is out of stock, expected to be replenished. That's interesting. That's a pretty cool controller, actually. I had seen that controller and thought maybe that might be a fun controller to get for my actual TurboGrafx. So, I don't know. So, anyway, game preserves. Anyway, they're sort of besides the point. The partnership must have been what Atari CEO Wade Rosen was hinting at when I recently spoke with him. Atari is pushing further into production of actual Atari 2600 cartridges. This is something we've heard about, and the people at Atari age have made some tough decisions, I think, and it's because of this situation. The company wants to expand into the retro market. Rosen believes the retro market has the potential to grow further, and I'd love to see that happen. Yeah, why not? That'd be cool. Quote, this is a quote. It says, a new cartridge module will be developed that will allow 2600 and 7800 compatibility to the Polymega console. The press release goes on to say, the addition of this cartridge module will make Atari 2600 and 7800 more accessible to retro enthusiasts and expand the market for Atari's line of collectible game cartridges. As part of the partnership, Atari has also completed a minority investment into PlayMagi. How about that? Atari owns part of PlayMagi now. I did not realize that that was what was going on there. So they are becoming one. The Polymega and the Atari are uniting like Voltron. Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration. What's up, Eating Paste? Is the Polymega actually something they are shipping these days? We were just talking about that earlier. Apparently it's some people are getting it. I don't know how many that is, but some people. Not sure if that was talked about. Yes, we did. The Atari carts that are being released today are insanely expensive. Yes, that's the plan, apparently, also. Tricom says, what consoles are you looking to mod, Si? I've done PS1 and PS2 mod chip installs, and I'm intrigued. The two that I really want to have done right now is my Atari 7800 and my Intellivision. The Intellivision and the Atari 7800. Those I would really like to get S-Video modded, if that's possible. So I'm trying to figure out if somebody can help me do that and how much they would charge and how that would all work. I have no idea. But I would, I want to do that. I want to do both of those consoles. So thank you for asking, by the way. Let's see. On with the article. I love to see growth in the retro industry, and I've been watching Atari's movements into game preservation closely. I'm not sure the Polymega would really benefit a hardware tinkerer like me, but it will be a boon for any intermediate looking to expand into the hobby. It will also create further incentives for companies to produce more legacy cartridges like I Am 8-Bit's recent Garbage Pail Kids, Mad Mike and the Quest for Stale Gum. I have not seen that yet. I need to check that out. And the first press games, Blazing Rangers. That sounds interesting too. Cool. Okay. Wow, I have to read that. I hadn't even seen that article. We'll come back to that in a minute. Okay, so yeah, there's this big stuff happening. It looks like there's functionality coming to the Atari VCS that will be related to Polymega somehow. I don't really understand what we're talking about there. And then there's Atari functionality coming to the Polymega, which I don't know if it's really Atari VCS stuff that's coming to the Polymega, or is it just that they're making these modules to play Atari 2600 and 7800 games. I'm kind of confused by this. The writer didn't go into a lot of detail, and I'm guessing that's probably because this writer just apparently discovered that Polymega existed. So yeah, we'll have to, maybe y'all know more about this than the writer of this article did. Y'all can help me fill in some of the blanks here. I'll look into the process, dude. Yes. Thank you, sir. James Butcher, I asked them in an email if they ever replenished the controllers since the last update was probably 2 years ago. It's been weeks with no reply. Looks like they will take your money, though. Yeah, I understand. There's a lot of that going around. People taking your money and then not following up, let's just say. There's a lot of that going around. I don't think I need to go into more detail than that, but yeah. I got to check this out real quick. We can keep talking about this Atari situation, but I just saw this article and I want to see what it's about. We are killing Sony, says Sega of America in leaked 90s documents. Hundreds of leaked emails and internal documents have revealed exactly what was going on at Sega during the launch of the PlayStation. Complex legal documents are not usually a fertile source of new games information, but it's been almost all we've heard about in the last few weeks, thanks to Microsoft's court battle over whether they can buy Activision Blizzard. Oh, this is a longer article. Good. This guy knows how to write. Eating Pace says, LOL, yeah, everyone is happy to take the money. Ooh, the leaked Sega documents are really amazing. Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm going to read more of this real quick. Although the verdict is yet to come, the public part of the case is over, and now the internet is pouring over a different set of documents, leaked emails, and internal messages from Sega of America during the mid-90s. Ooh. That was not a good period for Sega. Well, that's an understatement. Here's to you, Captain Obvious. Yes, it was not. Those were not good times. Yes. Yeah, I remember. Oh, I remember it well. That was not a good period for Sega. And yet, one of the most interesting emails talks about how confident Sega is of beating the original PlayStation console. With CEO Tom Kalinske, I always go like that when I try to say his name. Tom Kalinske, convinced that Sega is killing Sony in Japan and that we will win here in the US eventually. See, this is the kind of arrogance that screwed the Saturn over. You know, we were watching the Saturn very closely. I was going to buy a Saturn. I was very interested when the Saturn was announced and I saw it. We thought that cartridge slot on the back of that thing was a Sega Genesis cartridge slot. We thought that the Saturn was going to be backwards compatible. That did not turn out to be the case. Had that been the case, then Tom, you are correct, Mr. Kalinske. Mr. Kalinske, you would have been correct if you had supported backwards compatibility with at least Sega Genesis cartridges. What would have been great is if it had full backwards compatibility and it was like Saturn, 32X, Genesis, and Sega CD all in one thing. That would have been absolutely stunningly amazing. And even, if we're going to wish for everything, let's go with the Master System as well. I mean, you could probably let the Master System go at that point, but yeah, we thought that's what that cartridge slot was. And then come to find out it wasn't, and the price was ridiculous. It was $100 more than the PlayStation. Sega shot themselves in every foot they had with every bullet possible. Like, they pulled out extra bullets from extra guns and kept shooting their feet. They shot the ground where their feet used to be. They didn't even have feet anymore. They shot their feet off so many damn times. It was ridiculous. But this is great because this gives you sort of a context of what they were thinking at the time. Oh yeah, we're going to beat the pants off Sony. Who do they think they are? Sony. It's not a Walkman. Like, these are video games, not music CDs. Oh, if I decide I want to get 10 CDs for a penny, I'll call you, Sony. But instead, we're gonna beat the pants off of you with our Sega Saturn. Yeah, I remember when the Saturn was first coming out, they were running those weird ass commercials with the bald chick and the, weird commercials. And it was the late 90s, so everything was kind of weird anyway, but they were unusually weird. The commercials didn't even make any sense. They definitely didn't make people want to buy the Saturn and play games on that thing. Eating Paces, I remember seeing the cart slot for the first time and thinking it was for Genesis carts too. Everybody thought that. Everybody that I talked to back in that time thought that that's what that was. And then it turned out to not be that. And everyone was like literally just stunned with confusion. People that were into games and stuff. They were like, what? Like it doesn't play Genesis games? The expectation was that it would be backwards compatible. And the fact that it wasn't, yeah. But now we know why, because they believed they were easily going to defeat Sony. Never underestimate the power of the Schwartz or the Sony. Eating Pace says, when it was for memory cards, it was pretty disappointing. Oh, yes. Yeah, we didn't even know what it was for. We're like, so it's not for games? Then it's for what? It's very confusing times. Silverwings, what's up, Silverwings? Silverwings says, problem was Saturn didn't have a killer app at launch. Needed a mainline Sonic game. May not have beat Sony, but the system definitely would have done better. Dude, yes, we know that they were working on that weird Sonic game that they never did. There's so many things they could have done, right? There's so many things they could have done. The Saturn was the first console that was really powerful enough to do their arcade games, right? Their old school arcade games, like your Outruns and your Afterburners, your Space Harriers, there's tons of them that never even got released. And all of those, like a lot of those only got released in Japan. But there was this huge, like, if they had gone back to their playbook with the Genesis, you guys remember what happened with the Genesis when they launched the Genesis. They were like, okay, it's an arcade at home, right? That was the big push for Genesis. So they were like, all these games, we're going to do arcade games, arcade games, arcade games. Now, there's a lot of strategies they could have gone with that I think could have been successful. But if they had really pushed their arcade games that were now possible to finally be badass, like basically arcade perfect, if not even better than arcade perfect, it would have gone a long way. It would have reminded people why they love Sega so much and why they need a Sega console is another thing it would have done. It would have given people an understanding of why I need to buy this system. But instead, they were all completely focused on polygons and not focused well on polygons. So, yeah, it was a weird situation. James, what's up? James says, I made it to Toys R Us on Saturn's surprise launch day. Really? How about that? They had a big banner above the door announcing the release. There was a demo of Daytona USA that no one was playing. Oof. It was a brutal time for Sega. The damn Saturn came out and most people didn't even know it was out. Most people didn't even know, because there was a bunch of stores that refused to carry Sega stuff when Sega pulled that crap, when they did the early release. So a lot of stores that normally would have had Sega stuff didn't have the Saturn. So a lot of people didn't even know it was out. And then you show up on a day like that and like nobody's even there to see it or know about it. Why would you? It's like Sega made every mistake, every one of them, all of the mistakes. Brian, if not to mention some of the best Saturn games for Japan release only. Yes, sir. You are 100% correct, Brian. We have discovered that in recent years. Tricom says, I love Road Rash on the Saturn. Road Rash on the Saturn is fantastic. It's probably the best version of that. I think it's better than the PlayStation version. I saw an interesting comparison where somebody had done side-by-side comparisons of like the 3DO, the Saturn, and the PlayStation one. The 3DO one technically was like, I guess you would say, the most comprehensive version. There were certain things that were better about it. The PlayStation version had some bugs and it had some missing things, but it ran the best. But the Saturn one was like the sweet spot. It had the sort of the best of both worlds. Saturn version's fantastic. Absolutely. Eating Pace says, yeah, the arcade conversions were the best games by a mile. Absolutely. Eating Pace, Sega Rally, Die Hard, Arcade, Virtua Fighter, and the list goes on and on. Absolutely. Disc swapping on Saturn makes burning games super easy too for backup purposes only. Well, we have me and Luke and John, we all have these Saturn backup unlockers, so we can just play burn discs on them. And I highly recommend that you do that if you're interested in getting into Saturn gaming. But there's good emulators too now. Emulation has come a long way for Sega Saturn. But yeah, you could do the disc swap thing too if you know how to do that. I don't know how good that is for the longevity of your Saturn, but as far as the CD motor, I don't know what all is involved. I know some of those disc swap maneuvers can be a little bit tricky, but yeah, there's options. And now they have the ODEs and all the other stuff too. So yeah. When in Spyship, I think my first knowledge of the Saturn was seeing that banner. Oh wow, really? Wow. So you weren't even there for that. You were just there and happened to be there on that day. That's crazy. That is crazy. Silver Wings, I have 3DO Road Rash. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've played it quite a bit on my 3DO, and I like it quite a bit. It's pretty good. It's actually pretty good. But I still think the Saturn version is probably the best one of those three. Tricom, I use tape to keep the door open, switch down. Okay, yeah. What we have, just to explain a little bit more real quick about it, is it's called the Sega Saturn Backup Unlocker. There's a guy that makes these, and basically he just takes Pro Action replays with the 4 megabyte memory in them, and he flashes them with that pseudo Saturn, which is a free program that you can get. And if you know how to flash stuff, you could do it yourself. You just need to get a Pro Action replay and then flash it. And you can flash it, I think, with just a burned disc with the Saturn itself. But I might be wrong about that. I know you can update the pseudo Saturn using a disc, because I've done that. But yeah, look into that. You might find something there that's pretty cool that you like. All right, let me continue reading a little bit more of this. Let's see. In the West, though, nobody cared all that much about Virtua Fighter, and the Saturn was an immediate and embarrassing flop. And yet the leaked documents clearly show that Kolinsky expected it to have the same success in Japan. I just visited 10 retail stores in Tokyo, most in Akihabara. It's now spring break, so the crowds of teens, college kids are huge. We are killing Sony. In every store, Saturn hardware is sold out, and there are stacks of the PlayStation. What he actually meant to say there was, in every store, I haven't seen a single Saturn, so they must be sold out, right? Right? That's what happened, right? I mean, they obviously stocked it in the first place, didn't they? Hello? Didn't? Is that what it... Wait, I'm getting different information. Yeah. It is not unusual to see 40 to 50 copies of Panzer Dragoon Zwei, excuse me, or Virtua Fighter 2 stocked in even small stores, and they are selling fast. I wish I could get all of the staff, salespeople, retailers, analysts, media, etc., to see and understand what's happening in Japan. They would then understand why we will win in the U.S. eventually. Well, it did do well in Japan. You know, the Saturn did very well in Japan. But yeah, that was not the case. That was not the case over here. James says the progression of Sega's add-on console releases were confusing. First, they said FMV games were next. Then they developed a console that was all about 2D instead of letting the 3D mature first. Yeah, Sega, yeah. I mean, Sony's done the same thing in a lot of ways too, but Sega was the worst about just throwing and this keep moving, just keep throwing stuff and move, stick and move, and didn't even, I don't know. They would shoot themselves, like I said, in the foot until they didn't have feet. Tricom says that sounds awesome. I need to get that tape out of there anyway. Yeah, take a look at it, dude. You might find that very interesting. Kolinsky. Oh, so that's very interesting. Sega believed that they, or Kalinsky anyway, believed that they were going to whoop Sony's ass. Emails show how it quickly became obvious to Kalinsky and others that this wasn't going to happen as they struggled to make an impact in the US. What's interesting is how much the emails are obsessed with what Sony is doing, constantly reacting to them and trying to one up them rather than being proactive. I've never heard a CEO do anything like that. That's strange. Have you ever heard a CEO constantly talking about the competition and one upping them and trying to talk crap? I've never heard that before. That's weird. All right, here's another quote. Need to significantly improve third-party support to achieve parity with Sony. Bemoans one email. Sony third-party library significantly stronger than Saturn. No shit. No shit, Kalinsky. Kalinsky? Ah, he pulled a Kalinsky. They also complain about their marketing budget being slashed by 40%. Wow, that's not being slashed, that's being decimated. 40%? That's almost 50. And the additional competition from the Nintendo 64, which launched later than the other two consoles. Yeah. Yeah, Sega put themselves in a really bad spot. I got to tell you, man, for Sega to do that, to fail in that way, to reach that level of failure is actually impressive to me, because Sony wasn't a player in the gaming space. Okay, they were like a publisher of games, and they would help with things, and their chips were in all the consoles, sure, but they weren't like they weren't a player until, famously, you guys know, I mean, obviously Nintendo screwed Sony over, and Sony was like, revenge, it was like the Wrath of Khan. I've hurt you, and I want to go on hurting you. You remember the famous quote from the head of Sony. But it's fascinating to me that Sega had challenged Nintendo and had actually surpassed Nintendo at one point. The Genesis was super popular in the United States. We all know the whole, you guys know, I'm not a historian. You guys know like the whole thing about what happened with all that. But it's just fascinating to me how, obviously Sega dropped the football at the 5-yard line when they were trying to run in the end zone and do their, rump shaker dance. They obviously massively underestimated Sony and overestimated their own capability to compete with Sony in this new space. When you don't add backwards compatibility to your console, you make it, you bring your console into a direct parity with the next guy. And if the next guy is putting out games that look better and the system costs less and it's something new and fresh, and let's just, I don't know any other way to say this, but Sony was running really good commercials. They had this whole really cool ad campaign. Enos lives, ready on the 9th of September, and you are not ready, and all this kind of stuff. And they would show all these really cool cuts with the games and stuff. And it just, the PlayStation was like a breath of fresh air, right? And the Saturn felt like Sega, because remember, this was not very long after the 32X. It really felt like Sega would just had their head up their ass. And we were just like, you know what, man? Let's see what this other thing is. Nintendo's not doing nothing for a while. Let's see what Sony's got. And, and Sony did what I was talking about. Remember, I was saying if the Saturn had really focused on it being an arcade machine and really pushed their big arcade hits, that I think that would have been a good idea. Well, that's what happened on the PlayStation. I mean, there was all these like arcade games that they were bringing out for the PlayStation at its launch. And, Ridge Racer was a huge selling point for me, absolutely. So their strategy was completely screwed up at Sega, and apparently their mindset was completely screwed up as well. Yeah, so 40% of their marketing budget was slashed. How quickly was that done, I wonder? Hmm. What's also interesting is that a year in, they're clearly under no delusions about the poor games lineup of the Saturn and the fact that the PlayStation's versions of third-party titles look better than their Saturn equivalents. Well, yeah, I mean, that's true. That's absolutely true. So many of the games that were coming out, if you looked at the PlayStation version, you looked at the Saturn version, I mean, the PlayStation, especially early on, the every Saturn game, if it had translucency, it was the mesh transparency stuff. And that really was, that was a big deal. That was something that people noticed right away. And there was games that were on both systems, so you had like a direct comparison. Battle Arena Toshinden, that was a big one, right? And it was on both systems. And you would look at the Saturn version, and then you would look at the PlayStation version, and the PlayStation version literally beat the Saturn version in every way. Like, it had a better frame rate, the polygons looked better, it had better textures, it had real translucency. It just looked like a better thing, And that the original controller for the Saturn that they gave us in the United States, they didn't give us the good controller. They gave us that weird controller, We didn't get we didn't get the Japanese controller until later, until that Model 2 Saturn came out. So it was just a strange situation with that Saturn. So yeah, it's interesting all this comes out right now. People talking about all this. All the documents are hosted on the website Sega Retro if you want to trawl through them yourself. And you may there may be additional secrets you haven't spotted yet. So yeah, go check out Sega Retro if you want. You'll see more about that. I just saw that sitting there and I was like, I have to check that out. This is another story that I saw that looked interesting. This is from IGN. Capcom is considering a new Mega Man games, and it just needs some ideas. Mega Man has a long and storied video game history. Even Capcom thinks so. What is that supposed to mean? Of course they think so. I mean, it's Mega Man. In a recent stockholders meeting, the publisher called the series one of Capcom's historic franchises and noted that it's loved by fans. Okay. This is news, people. Since the departure of the series designer Keiji Inafune, I'm probably saying that all wrong, sorry. Though Mega Man's appearances have been few and far between, with the Blue Bomber last appearing in a mainline game in 2018 and Mega Man X's last major console outing being in 2005. Wow. Do you want a Mega Man X game or a Mega Man game? That's a good question. What do you guys think? Which one would you rather see? A new regular Mega Man or Mega Man X? Which one would you rather see if they're going to make another one? Dithering is the word for it. Yes, dithering. Back then, dithering wasn't a problem. Most people I knew had composite or RF. I was using RF until the Dreamcast came out. Never knew anyone who had S-Video or above. Well, I did, and I noticed it. So, but yeah, I got you. Any place I really love the Mega Man Zero games. Mega Man Zero, Mega Man X, same thing, right? Same thing? Japanese Zero, like Street Fighter Zero, Street Fighter Alpha, Mega Man Zero, Mega Man X, kind of thing. I want a Mega Man game. Yeah, that would be cool. Absolutely. Mega Man X is also cool, though. James says, I wonder how Namco felt about cannibalizing their arcade business with PlayStation. Arcade at Home was the killer app for Sony with PS1, DVD on PS2, Blu-ray to a lesser extent on PS3. That Sony's always, at least through those eras, understood the importance of having something like that. So good, very good points on that. Eating Pace says Mega Man X is better than Mega Man every day. Ooh. Hot take coming in hot. Silver Wings Mega Man Legends 3 would be even better. Oh, that'd be pretty cool with modern graphics, dude. Or you could even do like a retro thing with the older graphics. Be pretty cool too. Legends 3 would be awesome. Tricom says, I always had a VCR hooked up, so I switched to composite starting with the Saturn probably. Oh, okay. Yeah, I switched to composite when I got the Turbo Duo because I had to. The TV we had didn't even have any, all it had was the coax. We actually had to drive to the next town over and go to Radio Shack to buy an RF modulator so I could play my Turbo Duo that my mom got me when it came out. I was shocked. I was like, I can't even play my console. It was interesting. It was interesting. So that's when I made that switch. But most people, yeah, it was a little bit later probably. VCR had inputs even if my TV didn't. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of them did. Brian said, wouldn't Mega Man Y be a sequel to X? Ooh. You talk it like starting a new thing, Mega Man Y. It would be like Mega Man Y. Why, Mega Man? I think they already made a Mega Man Y, and it was called Mighty Number 9 or whatever. I don't know. I actually want to play. I still haven't played through that. I have it on everything, probably not everything, but I know I have it on PlayStation, and I know I have it on Wii U. I want to play it on Wii U probably. That might be fun. Is that game any good? Have y'all tried that game? I never played it. I'm pretty sure it's XI or Chris says, Chris Courage, what's up, Chris? He says, yeah, I used to use an RF modulator for my Turbo CD back in the day. Yeah, absolutely. Born Destructed Radio Shack wasn't glamorous, but it served its purpose. Indeed it did. You went in there, you know. I used to love Radio Shack. Man, I loved going into Radio Shack. They were always small, but they had so much stuff. Like you would go into Radio Shack and you'd be like, this is a tiny store. But they had every kind of connector and cable you could imagine. I mean, back in the day, at a certain point, it started to get kind of like everything, like pretty much the whole store was full of just mobile phone crap. But like once upon a time, you would go to Radio Shack and you could get microphones and you could get amplifiers and you could get every electronic. They had stuff in the back, and they actually did have stuff in the back, and they knew what it was. Yeah, good times. I miss Radio Shack, like the real Radio Shack. That game isn't bad. I thought it was fun. Okay, I have to play Mighty Number 9. I need to play that. James says, remember that crazy Atari power supply RF modulator combo 5200? 5200. That's why I got my 5200 S-Video modded. I still have another 5200 that's stock, and I have a whole story with the reason there was problems. There was an incident, but I still have my other 5200, and it has the box that you're talking about, that you plug the power into the box and then put the box into the TV. You know what's funny about that? I gotta say, of all the consoles that have RF output, the Atari 5200 that has that box is by far the highest quality RF signal of any console. It is that little box. We all make fun of it. It's weird, yes, but the quality is freaking good. It's really good RF, a really good signal. I guess because it's all right there in that box. But it's just interesting. It's such a strange idea. Eating Pace says, I loved Radio Shack. And why are you spelling radio like that? What are you doing? It's not like a raid you're going on. Although that's how you could do Radio Shack now. How you could bring it back is name it Radio Shack. And like the commercials could be they're raiding the store or whatever. I don't know. Any paste. It was the only place that you would find TG16. Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't know that. I never saw one that had TurboGrafx. That's pretty cool. They always had bonks at the kiosk. That's really cool. Damn. I would have hung out in there all the time. Born Distracted, it was basically an electronics hardware store. Yes, sir. Any pays. You used to be able to buy all electronic parts you could dream of. Oh, once upon a time. Once upon a time. Fry's used to be like that too, but Fry's was humongous. You know, back in the day, Fry's was fantastic. Once upon a time. Silver Wings, I helped fund Mighty Number 9. Oh, really? My name is in the credits. Well, look at you, Silver Wings. You're in the credits of Mighty Number. Now I have to beat that game. I have to, because I got to see your name. I definitely have to beat this game. So, absolutely. The game is mediocre. Capcom's response, Mega Man 11 was better, but not by much. Ooh. Well, I still need to, I want to see your name in the credits to that game. I can't believe that that's the case. Dude, kudos. Kudos to Silver Wings. 1-inch bicep. Careful with Mighty Number 9 on Wii U. Something about it. Breckenridge the system. What? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't like the tone of your voice, 1-inch biceps. I don't like what I'm hearing. I'm gonna have to look into that. Brian says, I would look to the radio catalogs as a kid and just be fascinated by all the stuff. Oh my God. I was like that with the Sears catalog. Man, I used to bother the shit out of the people at Sears. We had like, in my hometown, we didn't have a real Sears. We just had a catalog store. I don't know if you guys know. The older people probably know what I'm talking about, but they would have a store that there was nothing in except catalogs, and there would be one person working there, and you would go in and just look through the catalogs and order stuff, and then they would have it shipped to the store, and then when it would come in, they would call you and you could go pick up your stuff. Man, I used to go in there all the time. As soon as a new catalog was out, I would run down there and get 2 of them. You know, one of them I'd give to my grandma, and the other one was for me. And it was all about video games. That's the only reason I wanted that catalog. I will deny any other accusations until my dying breath. It was all about video games and toys. Video games and toys, and maybe a couple other things that were in that catalog that were interesting as well. But I love the Sears catalog. They had one big catalog that would come out for the Christmas, for the holiday season, and then they would have like smaller catalogs that would come out, like I think spring, summer, I don't know, I can't remember, but the big one was the big one. Okay, so you're saying that Mighty Number 9 might brick my Wii U? That's unbelievably horrible. I will have to look into that. James says Sears had TurboGrafx 16, the Christmas catalog. Yes, it did. And the Atari 7800 and the Sega Master System and the Genesis, everything you ever wanted was in the Sears catalog. And you would see it in there and it would look better than it ever looked ever would look. It was the best version of whatever it was that you were wanting. It was in the Sears catalog. Toys, yeah, the best, most awesome setups like that. In the Sears catalog, they would have all the G.I. Joes and all the Transformers and all the Voltron, whatever the He-Man, whatever it was you were into, and they would have them set up in these like Hollywood like sets where the figures would be posed in action battles against each other, and it was the most awesome looking shit you've ever seen. If you can go back and find old Sears catalog stuff, go check it out, because yeah, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, I got to go back now and look at some. I'm like very intrigued to remember some of this stuff. Okay. You could have had Pit Fighter instead. Okay. Pit Fighter was terrible, but I loved it on Genesis. It was terrible. Even in the arcade, it was kind of terrible, but it was still, at the time, it was fascinating because there weren't games like that. So the digitized characters and all that stuff. That was before Mortal Kombat and all that. So it was fascinating, but it wasn't necessarily great. Martin Meyer, what's up, dude? Silverwing says the credits are 3 hours and 48 minutes long. How far into that is your name? Give me an idea what to expect if I'm going to watch these credits. Don't make me sit through 4 hours of credits and your name is at the very end. Don't do that to me. Like, do you know, like, how long? I mean, if you don't know, that's okay. But I mean, if you know, let me know, because I would appreciate it. Any news on the Crix front? Yeah, unfortunately, it's not going to work. I'm going to have to return it. I don't know if they'll send me another one, or I'm just going to ask for a refund if I can get a refund. Otherwise, they'll send me another one, and I don't even know if it'll work because I don't know. I mean, even if he sends me a working one, I still don't know if my twin Famicom will even be able to use it. I don't know. It's a weird situation. So unfortunately, I'm just done with the whole thing. If they do send me another one, I will probably try it and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, then I would just probably try to sell it. But I can't sell. I'm very concerned about that, because if it doesn't work and I can't verify that it works, how am I supposed to sell that to somebody? You know, it's a weird thing. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, that's why I just want a refund. I just want to get out of this thing at this point. But, you know, it is what it is. I don't know what you're talking about, Brian. I have no idea what you're talking about. How dare you? Your accusations will not stand. This aggression will not stand. Oh, probably been patched. I hope so. I would hope so. I will, like I said, I'll look into that. Hans Niemann, what's up, man? I remember those weird crystal sets and stuff in Sears and robots and what. Oh man, they had all kinds of crazy stuff. All kinds of all the remote control cars too. Like all these like little remote control RC cars. Oh, they had such awesome stuff in there. You would just go through and discover crazy shit you would have never thought of. Those catalogs were amazing. Absolutely. Luke has joined us. He says, Mighty Number 9 never caused any issues with my Wii U. That's odd. Oh, thank you, Luke. I appreciate that. That kind of makes me feel a little bit better. Yeah, I do want to play that. And I think I want to play it on the Wii U. So I'm happy to hear that. GoBots? Dude, yes, GoBots. Psycho and Leader 1. The leader of the good guys is named Leader 1. It's a good thing he turned out to be the leader, because that would have been weird if you're named Leader 1, but then you don't turn out to be the leader. Like, hey, what's your name, man? I'm Leader 1. Oh, so you're the leader? No. I work in accounting. I'm working accounting. Oh, it'd be kind of awkward. 3 hours, 47 minutes. No, come on. Don't do that. Let's not do that. Martin says, I also got the same twin Famicom as yours. I unfortunately don't have RGB blaster. I don't at this point recommend that you get one. I just don't. I don't know what you need to have for it to work. I just know that I don't have one that works. So I don't know. Silver Wings, it's 1 hour, 36 minutes, 43 seconds. Okay, so you're 29,803. I will try to remember that. 1 hour and 36 minutes. So an hour and a half in, I need to start looking for your name. Are you in there as Silver Wings, or are you in there as something else? Because I wanna find you. I will find you. I have a particular set of skills. Good luck. Martin says, I also got Mighty Number 9 and no issues on the Wii U either. Okay. That's cool. That's awesome. James says, NiCad batteries on Tyco RC. We played for 10 minutes, charged for 2 hours. God. Oh, man. That's right. That's right. And if you didn't have rechargeable batteries, yeah, you might get 4 or 5 hours. But then what I used to hate was every device that took batteries didn't turn itself off. So if you forgot to flip the power off, batteries were dead immediately. when I remember having the Super Scope 6 for the Super Nintendo, which is that big light gun. You guys know what I'm talking about. And that thing took 6 AA batteries. And there was a power switch that you would flick on. And if you forgot to turn that off, it drained those batteries immediately. So I would remember, I would play the Super Scope and I'd remember to turn it off. Somebody else would want to play it. My brother would want to play it, whatever. Sooner or later, one of us forgets to turn that damn switch off. And every time, the first day, maybe the second day of having batteries in it, the batteries are completely dead because we forgot to turn the damn thing off. Happened all the time. And we didn't have rechargeable batteries because they were super expensive. Like AA rechargeable batteries back then were not cheap like they are now. Silverwings, yes, as Silverwings screen cap the number. Okay. Okay, cool. Get you. Thank you, sir. Martin says, if you end up not being able to get either a refund or replacement from Crix, I'd be interested to buy your RGB blaster from you. I could check it out for testing or perhaps repairs. I appreciate that, Martin. You do know, just to be clear, my RGB blaster, the USB broke off of it. The interface broke off. I don't think you want to buy this one. I really hope I can send this back and get rid of it and then get one that's not messed up. So, if I end up having to get another one that's not messed up, then we can talk about doing something. But I don't think you would want to buy one that's broken. James says, love the Super Scope, trying to remember what the 6 games were. Oh, they were like these random little mini games, like shooting the missiles, and I can't even remember. Good God. Good God. We played, when we had a Super Scope, we played that Yoshi Safari a lot, but the 2 games we played my brother went nuts with these games, was Metal Combat and Battle Clash. Those 2 games were really good. Those were the games to get for the Super Scope. And we played the crap out of those games, especially Metal Combat. That was the sequel to Battle Clash, and it was really good. That was my favorite game for Super Scope by far. But yeah, there was I don't know how many games that were released for that. I can't remember. Silverwing's light gun, it's a bazooka. Sega went before Congress and showed them how family friendly Nintendo was. Yeah, we remember. We remember. You remember. Han says, Plot Boss music goes hard. Tricom 79, if they give you the runaround on the blaster, just call your card company, dispute the charge since it's defective. Peace of mind. I don't think he's going to give me a hard time. He just hasn't gotten back to me yet. And I don't know what's going on in Ukraine right now, but I'm going to cut the guy a little bit of slack here and see how long it takes him to respond. But if I don't hear anything, I'll give him some time, but, we'll see how it goes. But I got you. I appreciate that. Luke says, I don't remember anyone having any games for the Super Scope other than the pack-ins. Yeah, Battle Clash and Metal Combat were the games you wanted. And Yoshi Safari was okay. Eating Pace, yeah, I had a Super Scope too, played lots of Battle Clash and rented Metal Combat a few times. Martin says, boy, the Super Scope brings back lots of memories. Boy, did that thing suck those. Was it AAA batteries? I thought it was AA batteries. It might have been AAA batteries. I thought it was AA, but I might be. Eating Pace, really, only those 2 and the 6 pack-ins all I played on it, yeah. Luke says, was Liu Kang in Metal Combat? Yes, but he was made out of steel. That was his, it was Liu Clank. That was his name, Liu Clank in Metal Combat. Eating Pace played a lot more light gun games on Saturn. Yeah. Which console has the best light gun games? Which one? If you had to pick one, the NES Zapper. There's a lot of good games for the Zapper. The Master System Phaser has some really good games too. On the Genesis, you had a couple of options for light gun, right? You had the Menacer, and then you had the Justifier, right? The Justifier, I have those two guns, the for Lethal Enforcers. They work for like what? Lethal Enforcers, Lethal Enforcers 2. There's Sega CD versions. There's a couple other games, but not very many. A lot more a lot more Genesis light gun games work for the Menacer. But who had the Menacer? I never had a Menacer. And then the Super Nintendo also had the Justifiers, and then it had the Super Scope. And then PlayStation, the PS1, had the really awesome light gun game from Namco. The light gun from Namco, and it, Time Crisis and all that. And man, I don't know. They kind of stopped doing light guns. Did they have light guns for PlayStation 3? I know they had it on PS2. Did they ever have a light gun for GameCube or Xbox? I really don't even know. AA batteries. Okay. Yeah. I thought it might have been. Tricom. I had a Menacer other than included games. I never used it. It was fun though. Okay. Han says, is it the same company that makes N64 flash cards? Sounds familiar. James says the Super Nintendo's synth music was great. I have a friend that would dub the SNES music on tape. Yeah, absolutely. Super Nintendo music is fantastic. What's up, Nick? How you doing? Long time no see. What's up, Nick? Good to see you, man. Eating Paste says Saturn and PS1 are both light gun monsters. Absolutely. There's some great light gun games on both of those. Absolutely. I actually have a light gun that works on the PlayStation and the Saturn. It's got a dual connector on it. I haven't tried it on PlayStation, but I have used it on Saturn. It's pretty good. Sega versus Namco. So when it says probably Saturn or PlayStation. Yeah. It's an interesting era, What a great era. It was an interesting era in a lot of ways. Obviously, we were talking about it tonight. Any paste? I think I go Saturn, but that's probably the rose tinted glasses. You know what? You're entitled to your rose tinted glasses. Enjoy yourself. That's fine. Nick says the Wii kind of became 1, 2, well, not light guns. I've got House of the Dead 2 and 3 for the Wii, and I've played them. They look great, and it's nice that they're pretty accurate. God knows that was my problem with the Dreamcast, was the light guns were garbage. The ones that I have, anyway. Apparently, the light guns that came out in Japan for Dreamcast were way better, but whatever. But anyway, I have House of the Dead 2 on Dreamcast. I have it on the Wii. And the problem I have with the Wii, it's like you said, Nick, it's not really like light guns. It's more like you've got a mouse in your hand. It's more like you're just guiding a cursor around. A light gun is all about aiming and quick response, trying to aim it like a gun, and you lose some of that with the Wii experience because of the way they have to do it. But it's still pretty cool. I never got to do the move stuff with the PlayStation 3 and all that. I know that they have some stuff that's like light gun-esque kind of experience on PlayStation 3, but I've never tried that. Anybody says PlayStation has Elemental Gearbolt. I never played that. What is that? I regret my pick already. So Wings, I have 2 Menacers. Can't use both at the same time. Really? I didn't know that either. That's interesting. Wow. So you can only use one at a time. The Justifiers you can use 2 at the same time. In fact, the second gun plugs into the first gun. It's very interesting. But you can't use 2 Menacers. I guess because it has the sensor, right? That must be why. Because back then the technology was like infrared. Anyways, I have like 8 light guns. Wow. And no CRT. No way. You have to. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Have you ever thought about getting one of those new light guns that you can use on like a modern screen and trying that? I guess you'd have to do it with like MAME or something. I don't know if any like emulators for like Saturn or PlayStation or anything support those kind of light guns. I have no idea. Well, that would be pretty cool though if they did, but I don't know. Tricom says Dreamcast had House of the Dead, right? Yeah, House of the Dead 2. The first House of the Dead's on the Saturn. Graphics are not great on House of the Dead for Saturn, but it's the arcade game. It actually is the game, and it works pretty good with the guns. And you can use two guns. The graphics for the House of the Dead 2 on the Dreamcast are fantastic. Unfortunately, the guns suck, but at least mine did. I don't know. But the graphics are absolutely fantastic. Geeks with Cash. Nick says, I don't recall seeing a light gun on the PS3. It's not a light gun, it's the move stuff. You know, like the you know what I'm talking about, the dildos. There's a way you can use those like a light gun, you know, like with the Wiimotes. It's the same principle. Tricom, yes, GunCon 3. Oh, is there a light gun for PS3? GunCon 3? I didn't realize there was a GunCon 3. So there you go. There's that too. Nick says, I think the tech has already passed. LEDs were a mainstay by the time of the PS3. Most light guns wouldn't work because of how LED TVs work. Yes, that is true. That is true. Okay. Yes, Geeks with Cash is alive. You're correct, Luke. Martin says, Crix is usually pretty good with customer service. I once got a faulty SD to SNES flash card and no issues. I've also had very good luck with him up till this happened, so I'm confident he'll take care of stuff. But like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on with Ukraine right now, so we'll see how it goes. I don't know. The only thing he was asking back then was to wait for the faulty flash card to arrive in the UK, then he'd send a replacement. Yeah. It's an echo. What's up? Is there an echo on the stream? Are you hearing an echo? That's not good. Martin says, Wii for light gun games is my favorite by far. Yeah, there's some good experiences. I've got a couple of games like that, and they're pretty cool on the Wii. House of Dead Overkill and the 2 Resident Evil shooters on Wii are a lot of fun too. I have not tried those Resident Evil shooters. I definitely want to do that. Tricom, I had 36-inch and 19-inch CRT. My parents got rid of them when I was out of state. That 36-inch though, man. I had a 36-inch Sony Trinitron. It was so incredibly big. It was so big I couldn't even deal with it. I couldn't keep it. It was the first TV that was literally too heavy for me to move. It was unbelievably heavy. 36-inch CRT is too much. But the 19, that one hurts. That one really hurts. Area 51 on Saturn. Oh yeah, there you go. There's so many good ones on the Saturn and the PlayStation. Just felt like the arcade. Yes, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Tricom says it was sort of light gun, had a sensor array that you draped across your TV. Okay, there's not an echo. I don't know what's going on with the echo. Geeks with Cash is the echo. Oh, okay. Oh, because he's saying what I just... Okay, I see what you're saying. There's a metaphorical echo. I understand. I'm a little slow. Just like an echo. Sorry, so Wings, that was self-deprecating joke. I didn't catch it. That's my fault. You can direct that at me. So did we decide, how do we want to vote here? Do we want a Mega Man X game or a new Mega Man game more? If you're in the chat, let me know which you prefer. Let's do 1 for Mega Man, 2 for Mega Man X, and see which one gets the most votes, and then we'll vote collectively here on this. All of our votes will count as one vote on this. Okay. Okay, so we got 1 Mega Man, 1 X. Okay, we got another Mega Man, we got another X. So it's tied right now at 2 and 2. I don't know which one I would prefer. Because I like that they're different. They are different, you know? Yes. which to pick. You can only pick one. Don't screw this up. This is super important. Based on how we vote is what will happen. I mean, that's not official, and I can't back that up. But just imagine at this moment that this is the real vote. And whatever we decide is going to decide Capcom's next move. So we need like that Deal or No Deal music playing in the background. Dun, 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 you know, all like dramatic and shit. And then the lights need to come. Did you decide? No pressure. That's right. That's right, Trico. No pressure. Under pressure. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, guys. So it's tied right now, right? Mega Man X. Mega Man X. I want some Dr. Wily shenanigans for a 20th time. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Okay. I'm just gonna have to decide for us then. So we'll go with the you go with X? Oh. I think Mega Man is winning. Well, X just pulled ahead. I think it was the only X vote. No, there's is it you voting again? I'm sorry, I'm like never mind. Tricom tied it up. Okay, so it is tied. Okay, so we'll just go with Mega Man because it's the first option. Sorry, X fans. I love Mega Man X as well, but we can only vote once. Oh, and Mega Man X is winning by a huge amount. Now I'm really glad we voted for the first one. It shouldn't be this much of a disparity. Really? I can't believe that. 70%, almost 71% of people want an X instead of a Mega Man game. That's fascinating to me. Huh. Who knew? Who knew? Last story I was going to get into was just talking about this Prime Day deal stuff. Just because I saw it and I was like, I thought some people might find some of these deals interesting if you're looking to buy something. Lots of deals for the Nintendo Switch on Prime. Obviously, you can go look at this stuff for yourself on Amazon's website. Won't linger on this too much. Octopath, it's $45. It's not that much of a discount, but there's a discount. It's just not that great. Tactics Ogre is pretty good. $32. That's not too bad. It's a pretty good deal. If you're looking at that. Pokemon. Hey, you like that Pokemon? Hey, Pokemon. If you're into the Pokemons, there's this double pack that's on sale for $89, which is a pretty good deal probably. I am not into Pokemon at all. PlayStation stuff, Death Stranding Director's Cut, that's a pretty good deal. Demon Souls, that's not bad. $41. It's not bad. Grand Theft Auto 5, $20. Who doesn't have Grand Theft Auto 5? If you don't have Grand Theft Auto 5 by now, I question your gamer card. I really do. I really want to know, does anybody not own Grand Theft Auto 5 in some form? If you don't own it in some form or have owned it, maybe you sold your copy or whatever, I don't know. But if you have never owned Grand Theft Auto 5, what are you doing? Like, who are you? Like, what is this? What are we talking about? Like, why are you here? X was good. What can I say? It's true. Did X have a special chip? For the Super Nintendo, Mega Man X did not have a special chip, but Mega Man X2 and 3 both did. So that's why I bought those cartridges, because I don't have that special super duper EverDrive that lets you play those with it. You know, I have a flash cart for my Super Nintendo, but it doesn't support those chips, so I just ended up buying those cartridges. Anyways, I'm pretty sure at one point I received Grand Theft Auto 5 by accident. Yeah, right? I bought it on launch twice. Okay, see, that's what I'm saying, right? Anyways, I didn't even mean to get it. And I think it was forced on me. Yeah. How do you not have Grand Theft Auto 5? I guess if you don't have it, you could get it on sale. It's on sale. Yeah. I don't know. Xbox, Dying Light 2, $30. Gears 5 is $13. Damn. Well, if you don't have Gears 5 and you have an Xbox that has a CD drive or a DVD or Blu-ray drive, whatever, the disc drive, then $13. You can get it on Prime. I wonder if they do this for digital too, if this is just for physical. I don't know. Red Dead Redemption 2 for $25. That's not too bad. Jedi Survivor. It's not that good. Okay, and then they have all these TVs they want you to try to buy. So anyway, there's some deals. If you're looking for something to buy, you can check out this Prime stuff. Prime Day deals that they have going on. I thought it'd be worth at least mentioning. GTA 1 overhead perspective. Yeah, dude, I remember. You ever play GTA on the PlayStation Portable? It's pretty cool. It's not too bad. They had a couple of Grand Theft Auto games on the PlayStation Portable, I think. Tricom, back when you get awesome extras for the premium edition. Those were the days. Those were the days. Those were the days. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to wrap this up. It is almost 10 o'clock my time. Silver Wings, I believe, bought it launch day. Had to buy a USB memory stick to fit the game to play it. Remember the days when you just put the game in the system and play? I remember. I do remember. I'm going to wrap this up, guys. I really do appreciate y'all being here, hanging out with me. This has been a really fun show. Let's summarize real quick. We talked about the Poly Mega Atari deal, which is very interesting. And I want to again thank Luke and BCB for inspiring me to talk about that. Definitely check out their channels if you haven't already. Ballistic Coffee Boy, I think is how the name he goes by. And of course, you guys know Luke's Awakening. Chinatown for DS. Dude, yes. Thank you. I forgot about that one. And okay, so we talked about the Sega stuff that was, and Nick has a fantastic documentary talking about the history of Sega and with the Kalinsky stuff and all that. Check out Nick's channel. If you guys haven't, go check it out. He's got some really cool documentary stuff. So we talked about that. Then we did this poll that for some reason people despise the regular Mega Man. They only want Mega Man X. I don't understand that at all. And we learned that Mighty Number 9 seems to be at least to where it doesn't kill your Wii U at this point. So that's good. We also learned that the RGB blaster still doesn't work and probably never will work, and I don't recommend it. And hopefully I get a refund, but we'll see what happens with that. Prime Day has some deals, and I'm looking to mod my Atari 7800 and my Intellivision. So hopefully I can get some, that can be worked out. So it was a pretty good night. We had pretty good talks. I want to thank everybody that has been here, that was in the chat. Yes, everybody check out Nick's stuff, definitely. Geeks with Cash, Nick, or the Geekstorian is his other channel. Check out his stuff. Tricom79, thank you, sir. Eating Paste, as always. Martin, love your name, Martin. Love your name. Silver Wings, I will be looking for your credits if I ever am able to beat that damn game, which I'm going to try. James Butcher, thank you so much for all of your comments. Thank you for being here and hanging out with us. Let's see. Silver Wings, I think I already said you, but thank you, sir. Luke, thank you for being here. Everybody check out Luke's stuff. I already mentioned BCB. Hans Nyman, or Neiman, however you say your name. Thank you, sir. However it's said, you are welcome to be here. Thank you, sir. I probably am missing. Brian F was here for a little while. Thank you, Brian. 1 Inch Bicep was here. I know John Retro Bro stopped in for a second. Born Distracted was here, but I didn't even see him. Damn it. Or I did see him earlier. Okay. Well, there you go. Thank you, Born. Thank you for being here. Who am I missing? I'm sure I'm missing somebody. If you were in the chat, but you never said anything, that's cool. Vinny Naziro, also be ready. Thank you for being here. Anybody else that I missed, I'm sorry about that. But thank you so much, guys. Oh, Evil comes in at the end. Evil always comes at the end. What? I was lurking the whole time. It's just a joke. It's just kidding. How many of you had? Evil, how many of you had? Be honest. Be honest. The night is young. Guys, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here. More videos coming soon. This is Video Game Virus. I'm Cyrus, and this has been a blast. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.